Hello, AP Psychology class. Today we will be talking about my life, and these are actually a few moments of it. And honestly, I have no complaints. But I think we're just gonna have to go back just a bit. Yep, that's me on my first day on this planet. I was born on March 11th, 2010. I was born at 38 weeks. I weighed 6 pounds and I measured 18 and a half inches. And as we know, I was named Paris Lopez. But before we talk about my life, let's talk about the two people who created me, my mom and my dad. When they met, they were both teens. My mom was 18 and my dad was 16. Don't mind the age gap. They started dating in 2005 and they dated for 5 years before I was born. I will admit, I was not planned. My parents were married 3 years after I was born and they've been happily married for 12 years. Anyways, back to the interesting stuff. While I was in the womb, my mom found out she was pregnant with me at about 4 months because of her having a condition called PCOS, which is a hormonal disorder that causes her to not make reproductive hormones, meaning I shouldn't have been on this beautiful planet. Anyways, in my first month of life, I actually vomited and cried a lot, which my mom found out that it was actually a condition called TEF, which is tracheoesophageal fistula, which I later found out is actually a birth defect, so yay to me! Moving on, this condition actually caused me to have to eat cereal mixed with milk at the early age of 2 months. Just like all babies, in my first few months of life, I was very dependent on my mother, which is a sign of the emotional attachment theory, and we can also see this in the first stage of Erikson's stages of development, which is the trust versus mistrust. As the months went by, I was developing very quickly. I rolled at 3 months, I said my first words at 7 months, and I walked at 11 months. Now, as I go into the sensory motor stage, I can actually move my hands, move my feet, and control my body. And I've been a big bag since I was young, and this is the perfect example of me knowing and being a pro at grabbing a cookie and putting it in my mouth. In this video, it's also a good example of how I'm starting to learn how to use my body, and my motor reflexes are getting better and better as I start growing. Now, having the perks of a big family actually helped me because of the social cultural perspective. Because of that whole big family, I had a bunch of stimuli and I was able to develop very well. Now, after turning 1, we start going into autonomy versus shame and doubt. I am starting to be more independent, doing things by myself, and even saying no to my parents.
Montate, ven acá. ¿Qué?
At the same time, I'm also developing my language very quickly, as we can see here. After this, we enter the pre-operational stage, where I see the world through my own perspective, which is egocentrism, and I start to play with myself and others. I'm also starting to pretend play by playing school, and I also pretend play by myself using boxes. Don't ask. Now, as we start going into initiative versus guilt, I start taking on things that I like singing. As we can tell in the last video and this one, I love singing a lot. I still do. As we're still going through the ages 5 and 6, I have this doll who I loved, and she's really cute and really creepy, but I took her everywhere I went. Now, as I go through the ages 6, we start going into industry versus inferiority, where I start to make friends. I start to actually care about what others feel about me and how I compare to others. Now, we're finally 7 years old. We're going into the concrete operational stage. Now, I actually have a bigger understanding of the world around me and a bigger understanding of my parents' lives and my friends' lives, and I start building my own life also. Now, one of my biggest health issues in Puerto Rico was the pollen, because I would get sick and then that sickness would turn into asthma, and the asthma would turn into pneumonia. So basically, in those years of my life, I would be in and out of the hospital all the time. Now, with the reason why I basically moved here, Hurricane Maria that came to Puerto Rico in 2018, which was really bad for us. After the hurricane came, everything just went downhill. And my parents decided to move from Puerto Rico to the United States. I had to leave my amazing island. I had to get on a plane, and I had to come to the United States of America. Yay. The transition was really hard, but with the help of my second grade teacher and my classmates, I was able to read and talk English fluently by about 2 years of being in elementary school. During elementary, I actually took up the hobby of cheerleading, which was really amazing, and I had some great moments, and I created some relationships that were amazing for me, and they really helped me with my self-esteem and with my whole life. During this first year in the United States, I actually found out a really serious health problem I had with my teeth. Basically, what we're seeing here is that I had 2 molars in front of my actual adult teeth, so I had to have 4 surgeries to actually fix my mouth. Now, as we go through middle school, another health issue I had is that I got my puberty a bit early at the age of 9, and because of this, my body developed early, which is the cause for my shortness, because basically my bones stopped growing. Going into middle school, we're also going into the formal operational stage. I am now beginning to construct ideas and solve problems better, and I also found my sense of sarcasm, which always comes in handy. And maybe even a few more hobbies along the way. In middle school, I also made really important friendships that have carried me through everything because I am the type of person to really rely on my friends and my family for everything on a really high emotional level. And I think that's something that's never going to change about me. Now, going into high school, I also meet more people that changed my life in different ways. I made friendships or relationships. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Honestly, during my first 2 years of high school, I did develop some adolescent egocentrism. And honestly, I think that was a result of me having at least one authoritarian parent. Anyways, before we get to present day, let's fast forward through 9th grade. I went to a new school. It was very scary, but thank God I made some amazing friends, and I hope these friendships last for many years. And I also turned 15. Finally! Now, in present day 10th grade, I am thinking a lot about my life and who I am, and also where my future will take me. In my future, I see myself as a doctor, which is my dream. With my hopeless romantic mindset, I can't see myself falling into intimacy versus isolation because I do have a plan to meet the love of my life at 30, marry at 25, and if I don't have this, I will most likely cause my isolation with. To be honest, with the person I am now, I see myself having the same mindset and goals, maybe a bit shifted, and my personality, I don't think it will go through big changes since I've had a constant personality now for a few years, and I think it'll stay the same, but a bit more mature through the years. Now, here, as I reminisce my life, I hope as I start going into integrity versus despair, I feel the integrity part because I hope to be beneficial to my grandchildren and especially my little sister now. In my future, I hope to make a big impact on those around me and I can live my life to the fullest, taking all the chances I can, taking risks, not letting anything pass me by, and feeling every emotion possible. I want to experience the roller coaster of life in the best way I can. So, thank you for watching my life from womb to tomb.